If there was a woman driving me, this would not have happened. This was the cry for help by a woman who was raped in an Uber in Delhi in 2014. This was what brought about the idea for a safe mobility solution, and that's where our company got formed, Taxshe. Hi, everybody. My name is Vandana Suri. I'm the founder of Taxshe. I'm an ex-investment banker turned cabbie. I'm a World Bank Award winner for the impact created. I'm joined by Sushil. Sushil brings in a business experience of over 2 decades, and he handles the entire backend. We are joined further by two very strong mentors. One is Mr. Vinay Piparsania, who was the past executive director for Ford Motor. He was also with BMW and currently is the CEO of IIT Delhi Endowment Fund. Vinay brings with him the entire experience of the entire industry of mobility per se and what's happening and how do we execute and scale up this momentum that we've created. We are then joined in by Dr. Rachana Pillai. She is a director for social impact advisory. So she advises companies on what is the impact that comes out of what they're doing. I think we have a very, very strong team along with us. Let me take you why mobility in the women's space is required so badly. 91% of women feel unsafe in public transport. 91% is practically 100% of us are feeling unsafe in public transport. On the other hand, if we look at the travel of kiddos, okay, 53% of our children are facing abuse. That's literally my child or my neighbor's child. And most of this abuse happens when they're out of the sight of their parents, and transport and mobility is a very important segment to be addressed for their safety. Let's look at the 133 crore population in India. Almost 50% are women and 50% are men. School kids' wallet size, if we look itself, is about $242 billion. So many women traveling to India for foreign travel, as well as women traveling to work. Now, this is the segment that we are focusing on. Now, I told you about a 133 crore population. I must also tell you now how many women cabs there are. In this entire 133 crore population, there must be barely about 235 cabs as units, if you would consider, on the road. I mean, it's that less, okay? Even the women driving instructors across the country, just maybe about 10 or 12, which we've been able to identify. And there's another 25% of the population is children. So you have so many women, so many men, and from here, at least a 25% is children, and they are facing abuse. Okay. So, what is our solution for all this? What have we decided, and what have we done about this? The first thing we did was we started out with the women cabs, okay, exclusively for women and children. That's called as the Taxi Huddle. These are actually just alternate moms driving kids to schools and tuitions. Cab is literally the logistics, the box around how this needs to get done. Till date, we've done about 1.2 million drives, abuse-free, safe drives for children. We work on a very prefixed model. So then we have the same routes, we go every single day, the same children. Everything is predictable about the drives. The income is predictable, the pricing is predictable, and we work on a premium pricing. Now, while we work on a premium pricing, for the client, it works out cheaper because we work on a carpool method. So there's a group of children and the parents who are sharing the cost. So it's premium for us and it's cheaper for them. And it's an excellent working model. We've focused predominantly on the school pickup and drop services. So 90% of the time we are dropping children to schools, being their alternate moms. We also do office and corporate drives and late night airport drives. That's where tourism gets addressed. Pre-COVID, February 2020, we had a 4,500 wait list for just the school drives, and I think that's a very commendable number. Now, let me take you through the business model of what we do in the cab segment. Like I said, we are alternate moms dropping kids to school. This becomes a premium, predictable, and a subscription model. Okay. The next one, again, is the corporate cabs. Again, this works on a subscription model. So there's a lot of assurance on what we do. The only bit which is a bit of a retail is the late night airport drives. Again, these are avenues where we are not just randomly available. Clients and expats are usually booking us almost 2 months in advance for this kind of service. Uh, so who is the resource that we are targeting on the the doer base? So we train women from the marginalized communities to become professional drivers. We train them for 4 to 6 months, top it up with self-defense, and these women in turn drive a lot of women and children. So it's a win-win for the society at large. Now, the second solution which we did was this was a solution. This was a pivot for us during the pandemic. We started training women how to drive. Now, these past few years of experience running a cab business, and we had trained so many women in driving from the marginalized communities. We said, hey, now we know how to train, and why don't we use this as our trump card and launch another vertical to train women clients? There are so many of them who want to learn driving. And that's what we call as a Taxshe break free, because we believe that women actually are breaking free out of their inhibitions when we are doing this. So more women on the roads and safer is our entire ecosystem. Now, like I said, this was a post-COVID strategy adaptation for us. What happened during the COVID pandemic was that a lot of people were, not wanting to take public transport. It was suddenly risk that I may get COVID. I don't know who's the person sat next or prior, who was the customer, what if this girl has. So there was a demand for self-drive, and we decided to nurture this demand and launch another vertical. In the last 1 year, we must have trained about 500 plus women to drive their own cars. So we specialize in training women to drive their own cars. Uh, we have a very contrarian approach because we realize that what's happening in the driving training industry is that there's a trainer who has one set of the clutch and the brake with himself, and the trainee actually is not getting control of the car. Now what happens with women is that once they've gone through this driving course, then they get very excited and they go home and they tell their husbands, hey, listen, I learned how to drive. And then actually she can't, because she really didn't never had the controls in her hand. And then the husband jumps out of the seat, and then she gets typecasted as women can't drive. Now, what happens with men is that once they finish their driving schools, they happily go around with your friends and say, hey, buddy, give me your car, let me do it. But women really don't ask other women. And then they get slotted out that women can't drive. And I think that's a great problem that we continue carrying with us over a long period of time. So we are the only women training women organization pan India as of now. The only one specifically. We have women coaches training women how to drive. And now, interestingly, we started doing this on a franchise model. We saw during the pandemic that we went into a lot of debt just paying salaries of people, trying to retain them, which also at some point of time we had to let go. And this time we said, okay, let's get business partnerships in place and, save our costs as well and get, very motivated people into the system. So what is the revenue model of the break free? First thing is the franchise fee. So somebody brings in an annual franchise fee to us, and they are, then on a 70% sharing. So 70% goes to them, 30%. So that's one level of the income that comes in. There's another when we train them. So women who know how to drive, we train them how to train. So they'll train somebody else. It's a different thing knowing how to drive. It's a very different thing controlling somebody else and training them. For this, there's a 15-day course, and there's a train the trainer charges that we have. It's a one-time training, so that's again an income for us. The third thing is we are now getting demand from companies to train women for them. One of the cab companies actually reached out to us and told us, hey, listen, why don't you train 15,000 drivers for us? So this becomes a bigger vertical, which we will be looking at in time to come, which is a B2B segment. Yeah. Already, of course, the B2C is running very, very well at this point of time. Now, again, what is the resource pool that we worked here? Who are the doers here? Again, they were women, but of a different caliber. So here we were not looking at marginalized women coming in. Here we are looking at the educated women, women from corporates, middle and upper management level, who kind of lost their jobs during the pandemic. And they come with a vision, they come with an experience of being able to manage people, they come with driving experience per se, and we are nurturing them to start alternate businesses, mobility being a very big industry which is developing for women. So these are women who are from corporates and who will then hire more people to work under them. Now, how does this whole thing fit together for scale? So I told you we had cabs and we had the training. So how does this whole thing fit together? Um, so first, let me take you through the chart. So these are our franchise partners. Now, a franchise partner trains more women to become driving instructors. Okay. Now, these women, these franchise partners and the driving instructors then go ahead and train women clients how to drive. So that's one segment of the industry. The second thing that happens around here is that these women, the instructing team, also goes and trains the marginalized communities. So they have two levels of clientele. One is the main clientele here. One is the marginalized segment, which can be funded through the NGOs, etc. And these women drivers get trained, get employed, and they in turn join back into the cab business and they drive more women and children. So basically, more women on the roads, safer is our ecosystem. Okay, whichever way, whether it's through cabs, whether it is through individually driving. Now, here, if we look at it, this franchise partner becomes the key for us. The more number of franchise partners we have across India, the more presence we have across various locations. So, how do we develop more franchise partners for this? Uh, this is where we decided to set up one ring of business development partners. Who are these business development partners? A lot of women today have again lost their jobs. They may not be the best in the driving segment, but they have very super social skills. They're very connected, they're very good business development managers. So now we've worked around a model wherein these business development partners will refer franchise oriented people across various locations in the country and groom them in their business. So one thing is, first of all, identifying in local areas who could be a franchise partner, bring them on the table and encourage and support them to set up a business behind, for a revenue share, of course. So the entire model now works on a partnership level. That's the ring of safety that comes in. Now, this also creates a lot of safe working places for women, and of course, safe mobility is the final goal. So let's see how each one here, all women run teams, are actually making money out of the whole thing. And when people make at different levels money, that's when the whole business as a proposition will succeed. So we have the business development partners, and if she were to enroll two franchise partners every month, say 24 a year, in a matter of 5 years, she would make about 2 crores. There's the franchise partner who's going to be finally training clients as well as the marginalized communities. She also can make about 2 crores in 5 year period. There are coaches who may come possibly on a salaried level, right? There are the cab owners. So women who are from the marginalized communities can go up the ladder and become cab owners and work on a 70-30 sharing again with us, making a much higher income. So there are women at every leg who can join into the system and actually build up participation of women in the mobility industry. And that's what we are trying to create here. We call this the Taxshe womb. Womb stands for Women in Mobility Business. um, Let me come down to what is the unit economics for one state, and then that's how it will get extrapolated to much more. So if I set up one tax break free unit, what is needed around to make these kind of units is core management, admin, your outreach costs, basic infrastructure, your coaches. uh, all this for one unit will need a 2 crore funding. Okay. And what does this give us? What is this 2 crore going to culminate as? This 2 crore in 3 years becomes 2,856 cabs, because we've created 280 trainers in the system. It becomes 5.2 crore safe drives per year. And what does it look like in top line? 298 crores. So by just putting this small little piece and a small little funding, we are actually able to create employment for 280 people. We are able 280 trainers, employment for 2,856 cabbies, so many safe drives, as well as a turnover of touching 300 crores in the next 3 years. Let me tell you what have we done till now. So we started with the cabs, the huddle model. We then started the training model. Okay, this has already been achieved. I must tell you, and I'm very proud to announce that we were EBITDA positive in 2019. It was a small amount, but yes, we broke it. Yeah, 2020, 21, as it is, it's still going on a little washout mode. But during this adversity, also we launched the Taxshe Break Free. The next we are trying to target after this on a growth level, we have up our sleeve, is what is called the Taxi Atithi, which will focus on expat travel and women-based travel in the country. Taxi Errands is more like a shared services between apartment complexes where one cab is kept there and it can be used on a subscription model by the entire apartment complex. That's also something we have on our cards. Um, and anything related to mobility, it's like a pizza base. You can put whatever toppings you want and you can change the entire gameplay. Why should you be with us? I think mainly because we never give up. Out of a 50 square foot office, we got a World Bank award for something we are doing. I'm sure there's something right about what we're doing and the way we're going about. So what we're looking for now is a 2 crore bridge fund to help us tide through these next 2 years, is what we're looking at. And the revenues touching about 300 crores in the next 3 years. How do we want to take technology, okay, for scale? We need tech for the back end management, okay? Various levels of women are coming in. You have franchise partners, you have trainers, you have the women cabs, you have the customers. So definitely there's a huge back end coordination and management and quality check for which we need, uh, technology for the back end. We need to figure out if we can do a training module. So currently we are training women how to become trainers, but I'm not sure as to whether we can get some AI or some technology to speeden up this, and possibly the travel cost in various locations to go and train somebody might come down. This is something we'd actually need a mentor on. The third thing is, of course, the client booking app. So as of now, the demand has been so high and the supply has been less. So we have not really gotten into an app model. Everything is on the web portal. Basically, because we didn't want to say no. I thought saying no on an app constantly because of less supply would be a deterrent to our own brand. So that's why we had not launched a client booking app. Everything was done through the website. This is what our past and future looks like. We've been a gross profit company all through, and COVID years, oops, we were really low. But I think if we are fitting this break free model together, fit this franchise model together, we should be on a very good trajectory of at least a 3 crores the next year, going all the way to 300 crores over the next 3 years. Why us? So, like I mentioned, we are World Bank Award winners for the work we've done, for the impact we've created. Uh, More importantly, I think we have the first mover advantage. So while people are thinking about, oh, I really think there's a need and we should have done this, we are the one who jump and take that stand. Okay, whenever there is some lapse in the mobility industry, we are the one who identify the gap and decide, okay, let's do this now. The plunge, who's going to bell the cat? That's what we do. And even our business strategies, everything has been around first becoming stable before we scale. It's okay to do mistakes when you're small, but not when you're big. It's better to get the thing correct while you're small and then scale up. And I think more importantly, we have survived in calamities. We have that survival and that fighter spirit, and the positivity to come back into action. Why should you be part of this movement? I think because each and every one of us, our children, have to be saved tomorrow. The whole world saw the Me Too movement. So many of us women affected through this. And consciously, by investing into such a socially conscious business around mobility, we will be stopping the next Me Too, the next generation talking. They should be coming and laughing at us. What is it that you oldies have been, crying about? I really want to see that day. Second thing, this is an impact business along with being a very solid, scalable business model. There is a global need for safety with respect to mobility for women and children. So it can be very easily set right in one location and multiplied into various locations. It's not an easy place to be in. It's a needed place, but the model can be very well put into across with a little tweaks across the globe. We can actually have this model running. Last but not the least, I think it's always been a small group of thoughtful, committed people who've actually changed the world. And I really hope that we are one of them. And I really hope that you are one of them as well. Thank you so much for your time. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.